Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. Where are you?
I'm in Edmonton. We are opening our third Vine Arts location here in the beautiful city of Edmonton, and hoping to open soon.
Perfect. How, Jeff Jamieson, would you define abundance?
I tend to not think in terms of abundance and scarcity. I find myself that it's too far down the decision chain, and I think that abundance is, what results from a lot of really good decisions, and scarcity is results from bad decisions, depending on how you are looking at abundance and scarcity.
Oh, I love
I
this.
yeah, I mean, from a financial point of view, I don't try and chase abundance. I try and just put one step in front of the other, and
Yeah.
abundance will typically result and show up. If you're talking about financial abundance, if you're talking about just happiness, that's a result of a whole bunch of decisions that you make every single day, and you have to be conscious of making those decisions. So honestly, and I've given this a lot of thought, I don't think about the results as much as I think about the actions that are required
Mm,
to obtain the best possible results. So
I love that. Make good small decisions every day or every week or whatnot in order to get and achieve that abundance down the road.
you have to fill your life with meaning and importance, and carrying heavy loads,
Mm,
and then happiness is able to enter your life. Whereas if you're chasing it, you're not likely to find it.
I love that. Jeff, with all the lines, I love it. How did you manage entrepreneurship in the pandemic?
It was very difficult. I mean, that I
Oh
leaned
God, yeah.
into early on. I leaned into some bad habits. I was drinking through my cellar, wondering what
Yeah.
the heck was going to happen. But we got our stuff together fairly quickly, and pivoted. So obviously, we own some retail liquor stores, but we also own a couple restaurants, and
Hmm.
so those were immediately at risk, and it was difficult to wrap my head around what was going to happen. Once the government
Hmm.
came out with their supports, it was a little bit
Yeah.
easier to figure out the pathway forward, and but it was extraordinarily difficult. And I've said many times to many people that you can't really stress me out anymore. And if there's a positive that came out of it,
Mm.
there's a few positives that came out of the pandemic, but certainly my ability to handle stress, and my team's ability to handle stress and to pivot. And I hate that word now, obviously, because it just got
Oh yeah.
overused during the pandemic. But those were positives that came out of it for sure.
Well, whenever I think of pivot now, I try and go to that friend scene of them moving furniture because it's the word like that
Pivot.
pivot makes me laugh. Pivot, like the couch down the stairs. Yeah, that makes me laugh because if I think about the amount of times the word pivot was used during the pandemic, it just gives everyone angst. Let's talk about your business experience. You got three, I mean, technically four, but if we put Vine Arts, the two locations, soon to be three, in one compartment, and then we look at Proof and we look at Donna Mac. So, how have the three businesses kind of shaped your business experience? What have the three kind of brought to you as an entrepreneur and as a leader?
Well, they all have a similarity, and we can talk about the differences a little bit later. But the similarity, I think, is people, like making sure that we
Yeah.
have exceptional managers who are driven to help the business, but also grow themselves as leaders, and that's been a learning experience. I wasn't as good at it back then as I am today, and I still have lots to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did have a base understanding of how to create a team, and how to motivate a team, and how people are motivated, and where to draw lines in the sand, and where to
Yeah.
have your standards set, and I think that Jesse and I both do an excellent job of that. We have just exceptional retention with regards to our people. I have restaurant managers that have been with me for 5+ years. The managers of our stores, like Katie's been with us for 9 years. And
That's
that's a
awesome.
retail scenario. So we work really hard to make sure that our people are a part of the wins, the successes of the business, and also feel completely capable in preventing the potential failures, right? Like they know where their strengths lie, and the hands that they have in the business. We give them a lot of responsibility, so the expectations are high, but then they get to really celebrate the victories with us because it's on them.
So let's talk about humans. How do you motivate your team, or how do you keep them accountable to what you and Jesse are trying to accomplish with your business?
Yeah, well, first of all, I try and include their visions into our vision. You can't do that wholesale. You know what I mean? It can't just be their ideas because we have to honor the original vision that made the businesses successful in the first place. But I attempt to allow their visions to take place within the space. And the more experienced the manager working with us, the more success we get from those. They have a better understanding of what the overall vision is. So their addendums, their vision addendums. And so moving forward, we try and compensate with, obviously compensation. There's monetary compensation, but we also try and, compensate with understanding, education, taking our managers on trips so we can explore other businesses that are similar to ours in other parts of the world, explore businesses that supply our businesses. And then the other final little piece, which I'm getting better at now, is trying to support them with a personal goal. If the manager's comfortable with it, try and support them with a personal goal that they have outside of the business that they're hoping to achieve, so that I can just be that person, because we don't have a lot of those people in our lives that's like, hey, did you go to the gym today?
Yeah.
I'm watching. You told me this is what you wanted. So and you asked me to hold you accountable to it. So I'm going to hold you accountable to it. So
it's huge, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's massive. Right. And that brings the people side to people. Right. Too much. It's just about, sometimes it's just, we're so focused on the business and the goals and the targets and keeping customers happy that we forget the people side of people. And so I think keeping, holding them accountable to a personal goal they have is a massive way of doing that.
If you want to have a long-term business partner in a manager, then you're going to have to take a vested interest in their personal growth as well, because their personal growth is going to directly tie to their happiness within their work.
I want your take on this. I don't know if you read this, but Italy, in the month of July, Italy banned, and I'm going to mess up the lingo, banned any synthetic or processed foods from being created in Italy. The bill was initiated in July and it passed in August. What are your thoughts on this? I thought it was fascinating on the food scene for Italy. It
is. Italy, obviously, food is directly tied to their culture, and they have a very current government is very strong about cultural integrity to Italians. They've always been very strict on production in Italy. A lot of this natural wine craze that we have in the wine industry, it's funny because, there's no real definition of natural wine, but a lot of the wine that we bring into the store from Italy, it's already natural. Do you know what I mean? They're using natural processes. They're low sulfates, as low amount of sulfates as possible. So there's lots of that was already occurring in that country. It doesn't surprise me that it would be a country like Italy. They are so culturally tied to cuisine and to food and wine production. I just thought it was such a good precedent to set of like the whole natural, organic, whatever we want to call it, right? Just food from the earth, not overprocessed, not massive portions, like just back to kind of fundamentals. So I thought it was a really good example that they were setting for the world of, we really want to support cultivators and farmers and growers. And we really just don't want the synthetic in our country. I thought it was really interesting. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Julie.